Jeremy Ellis here. I'd like to talk to you about Lanschool, clickers, and something reasonably new, Teacher Browser. For any teachers, if you're teaching in a computer lab, Lanschool's an incredibly good piece of software where you can monitor all your kids. You can show everybody what your screen has. It's just a great bit of software. Clickers are awesome for getting feedback from kids. Basically you can use clickers in lots of different ways. You have to buy the hardware, the clickers, and Lanschool you have to buy the software. I'd like to tell you about Teacher Browser, which uses Google Docs but allows you to see your entire class, much like Lanschool, but it doesn't matter that the kids are in a computer lab. The kids can be on their own, their iPads, their iPhones, their Android phones. As long as they can get to Google Docs and work with Google Docs, Teacher Browser should work fine. It's at the moment on the Play Store as an Android app, and it works best as the Android app. You can access it online using Safari and the iPads. Has a little bit of a refresh issue with the iPad at the moment. Online on your regular browser, it works great, and I'd like to give you a demonstration. So here's the Teacher Browser as it loads up. You can see we've got 4 rows of 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. 4 rows of 8, so 32 spots that we can see things. We've got some links, and so here's what happens here. If you go to the link there, you can go to that person's spot. These are class settings. These are Zoom settings that we won't mess around with today. So in class settings, I can go to this student, copy, and paste that student in. Give that student a name. I think this is Jared, or just pretend. And once you've filled up your whole class, you can save the class and load them. It's going to just make sure you're logged into Google Docs, which I am somewhere. And so in this case, we're just loading up Jared. We can zoom in here, and we see that Jared has a bunch of information. Let's go to another one I've got set up. So I'm just looking at Jared, Sarah, Alex, and Jack. These are Google Docs accounts, and this is what you'd have to do without Teacher Browser. See what Jared's working on, that's great. See what Sarah's working on, that's awesome. And what we've got here is they're doing some math. They're writing on a piece of paper. They're doing math same as ever, but they're just putting their answers onto Google Docs. What that allows me to do as a teacher is see what they're doing while they're doing it. And I can give you an example here. So they're working on question 9. Let's say the question is whatever, 4 times 5. So Jared answers and Jack answers, and as they're answering, the Google Docs transmits the answers, and you can see it all gets updated instantly. That's not working actually that well on the iPad. I'll fix up some refresh thing. But on most desktops browsers, and definitely the Android app, everything's instant. It follows along. You can go in, pull down, see what their other answers were. So Sarah here didn't answer number 4. That gives me some feedback that maybe she's having a hard time with it. Jared seems to be answering everything. Jack's answering everything. But the present situation, as a teacher, I know Alex now is getting a different answer from everybody else. And I can quietly go up and see what Alex is working on while the rest of the class is doing some more questions. As long as you teach the class, oops, I'm editing. You can also go in and edit from here. So we're doing another question. or the kids are working from the board, same as you'd always teach. They're busy working, and you can spend some time with Alex trying to figure out something. It just gives you that instant feedback. It doesn't matter if they're on school computers, if they're on their own iPads, cell phones, however they're working, they're giving you some feedback. And you may have a couple of kids in the class who don't have a computer or a phone to work on. Same as before, you walk around, you check on them, and this just gives you another thing as a teacher to be able to see what your kids are doing and give them feedback when it's needed. So here Alex can be corrected with their question, get the right answer, and move on. So question number 10, answer equals 45. You've got to teach the kids to work reverse order. You've got to teach the kids to crank up the font. I think it's 48. And then when you're viewing the whole class, it's quite small, but you can still see, I can come down quite a bit and still, right there, it's starting to get hard for me, and see your entire class with their answers while they're doing it. And that's where Teacher Browser is very similar to Lanschool, because it gives you that instant feedback, but you don't need the hardware of both Lanschool and clickers. It's just instantly what they are getting as answers. They still write on a piece of paper their normal work. It's just another thing for teachers to use.